You can be 6'3", get paid more than a doctor in your early 20s, jacked, 185 pounds lean, shredded with abs, travel to 6 countries every single year. You can be able to run half a marathon with a hangover. You're that fit. You've got deep knowledge in high income skills, and you've got lots of friends to do cool shit with, and a full beard, and be self-made. Yet, if you have bad mental health, this trumps all of this. This trumps all of this. And on the plus side, if you have good mental health, it beats all of this. Look, I've been dealing with this with my entire life, right? And the bad part is it actually took me 23 years and actually have a complete mental breakdown to finally start looking at what is the cause of this, what is actually causing it. And I went through all those achievements to find it out, yeah? So look, we're going to touch on that later. Now, the worst I've ever been was 2 years ago, right? I went from making 20K a month in profit with my own business to working a minimum wage job, right? I went from jacked, shredded, in shape, very physically fit to skinny fat and doing loser habits. And I went through some unrepairable situations and everything came at once. And this sometimes happens in your life, right? And this put me into like a proper deep, dark state, yeah? Like I'd never felt before, to be honest. And at one point, right, I had this TV in my front room, and this TV were broken, and it was just in front of the sofa and just underneath the windowsill, and like a 32-inch TV, just leaned up against the wall. This TV were broken, yeah. All I needed to do was take this TV out to the bins, which were about 5 meters away. And I was getting beat that much with life, right? I was just failing that much over and over and over again. I couldn't even get myself to go pick up that TV and take it outside. Like, I was that beat and mentally weak. And bearing in mind, right, I went from this guy, you know, everything that I strived to do in my life, I did myself. And I don't come from money or anything like that, yeah. I built the type of person I wanted to be. I faced all the things I was bad at. You know, I got my money up. I got in shape. I built my social life. I faced some of these things, yeah, and still, I couldn't even have the confidence to go take that fucking broken TV out. That's the amount of power that bad mental health will have on your life. And people don't like to talk about this. And what I didn't realize is when I was younger, if you have bad mental health, then you're not going to be making any money. It's going to be much harder to make money. And this is why, right? And this is why I almost lost 2 years of my life, because I was trying to work with bad mental health. And the problem is, when your mind's not right, it'll start convincing you of things that are real or not real. I mean, I don't know, you watching this, if you've been through a winning time in your life and a losing time in your life, you know, when you're winning, your mind's good, you keep winning, right? When your mind's bad and you're losing, you keep losing. So it's a cycle, a positive, negative cycle going up and down. Now, the scary place to be is you are working at 60% capacity or 90% capacity and working all the time. So this is what I was doing. I was in a really bad mental state, right? But I was still working every day, still grinding to sort my life, right? But the problem is when your mind's not right, you can't do it to the same level. And usually, if you're trying to start something like a business or you're trying to give enough energy towards something to actually make it happen, you need to give 100%. It's like the gym, right? You can go and if your maintenance calories is 3,000 calories every single day and you need 3,300 to gain weight, if you eat 3,000 every day, you will not gain weight. But you're still doing the meal prep. You're still eating quite a lot of food. You're still going to the gym. You're still putting the time in for your day. And it's still a task. But because you're not doing 100%, you are not going to gain the weight. And that's the same in anything that you're doing. Now, the problem with that is you still have to go to the gym. You're still training, but you're not making any progress. That's the same if you're working. So if your mental health is bad and you're still trying to work all the time, you're not going to be giving it enough tenacity and you're not going to have the good enough effort to actually make it work. So what you end up doing is you're still giving the time, you're still making the sacrifices, but you're not getting the result. That is possibly the worst place that you might be, because you might as well fuck it all off and just have your feet up. And at least you can look back and just thought, right, well, I kind of enjoyed myself a little bit. Yeah. So this is a big problem, a big problem. And look, I had all of these skills. Yeah. I had all of these skills. I'd already done it all. I've been there. I've done it. I started from zero. I was self-made, but I couldn't put it together. And I was getting so frustrated because I'm like, I've done the courses. I've read the books. I've put the money in. I've made the money. I've got the skill sets. I understand how it works. Like that. That's part of it. That's not confusing to me anymore. And I just couldn't put it together. I couldn't make it work for a long time, and I didn't know what it was. Well, it was because my mental health was bad, right? That's the reason why. My mental health was bad. I had to fix that, and when I fixed that, that's when I started making progress again. So look, in this video, I'm going to give you 3 habits to fix this problem and ultimately fix your life. I'm going to teach you how to change your thought process to improve your mind, your quality of thoughts, and your mental health. And I'm going to teach you what causes this, so you can avoid it and at least be aware. Because if you're aware of it, you can spot the habits and the triggers that end up making your mind go negative, and you can change the thoughts as they're happening, right? Because it comes in cycles, and I'll touch on that later. So this is the modern crisis that young men face. So everybody's aware of the opportunities, and because they're seeing on social media, everyone's doing the lifestyle, and there's nothing wrong with that, because the lifestyle content sells, and if you're looking at it and getting motivated, it's a good thing. However, if you're doing something like building a business, let me tell you something, right? This is what no one likes to talk about. If you're building an online business, it doesn't just work straight away. Like, you have to sit on a laptop and figure it out. Even if you've got loads of experience, if you're going on to something new, you have to sit and do the work. And even if you know what to do, you still have to put the work in. And what that looks like is you sit on a laptop indoors, right? Not really living your best life. You're not having too much fun. Now, if you are doing that and you're trying to focus and you're not having too much fun, you're not going out partying, if you're starting a business and you've got no money, all your money's going towards this business, you're making all the sacrifices. If you are then watching people live this luxury life where they're posting their 1%, that's going to play with your mind, because you're looking at that and you're thinking, well, I'm going through all this suffering. I'm trying my hardest, yet everybody seems to be living. Okay. But then on the other hand, what you've got as well, you've got these financially illiterate people, which is 99% of people, by the way, actual retards, right? They spend their life savings on consumer goods and package holidays, and then they go post it all on social media. So the perception is they're living this lifestyle. If you know those people, don't you? I mean, they go on holiday and then they post like 5 times a day for entire 2 weeks, like they're living this lifestyle. But in reality, they put the fucking holiday on Klarna, motherfucker. They've just gone into debt to do it. They are the most financially illiterate. Now, if you're not aware of this, what you're watching people maybe from your area, people maybe you went to school with. They're all posting, they're going all these places. You're not, right? You're maybe going through some shit. You're maybe building a business. You're maybe setting up for your future. You're allocating your time, your knowledge, and your finances all into one focused area in order to grow it into something. Yet you're looking at them. You know that you work harder than them. You know that they're lazy. You know that they make excuses. You know that they're bad at spending their finances. But the perception is they're living this good life. But it's all a psyop. It's all a psyop, because that's just what they post on social media, right? So look, you're faced with this decision, like, what do I do? What do I do? You're sort of feeling like your life is going on, especially if you're in your 20s, you're a young man or you're a teenager, you're seeing other people have life experiences, you're missing out on them. You're thinking, is this hustle going to be worth it? Is the thing that I'm trying to focus on going to be worth it? And it's harder than ever to make sacrifices, because if you were like 20, 30 years ago, you could focus on yourself, keep to yourself, watching people, 100 people that live their lives every single day, right? And look, even if you delete Instagram, which I would highly advise, right, every now and again, 100% deactivate it. Do not be on TikTok either. That's literally for retards. But if you are going to decide to delete the social media, you're still going to see some form of entertainment. You're going to end up going on YouTube. Like, it's the social media age. It's very hard to cut it all out. and it's very hard to completely not be exposed to all of it, but you need to try your best, right? You need to try your best if you're going into this period of, like monk mode or working on yourself or working on your business. And look, this is the thing that it points you, and this is the thing that it forces you into doing, right? It forces you to either take massive action to get similar results to what you're seeing online, which the results that you're seeing online are usually a fake version or a 1%, right? Or number two, it is going to get you to watch it, so consume the content, but actually take no action. And with both of those, you are going to be going through some very unhappy times, because the number one, if you're taking action, it's hard out here, right? You're working against your own mind. You're trying to figure stuff out. You're going to fail a lot over and over and over and over again. You can do it. I've been there. I've done it. I have done it. Okay. But it's hard. It's hard. So you're going to be going through a lot of pain, a lot of isolation, and a lot of mental pain. Now, the second part is watch it and take zero action. That's just all pain. That's just all pain, because you're constantly comparing. Now, do not be in the second camp, right? One thing that I will say is, guys, like, I've not just seen this stuff online. Like, I've been on the other side. I've seen it in person, right? People are making real money out here. Okay, people are making real money out here, and once you see it, and once you make a little bit yourself, it cannot be unseen. It can never be unseen. You cannot go back. So I urge you to go see it in real life. It's different in person. I urge you to get around some people who are making real money. Go to a mastermind, go to an event, go to somewhere like Dubai and speak to people. People are making real money out here for themselves, knowing jobs, like you wouldn't believe. Like you wouldn't believe. I've known about this for a long, long time. I'm from a small village, but I've seen it. Okay, I've seen it, I've tasted it, I've already had a bit of it, right? But either way, both of these things can leave your mind warped. And that is why a lot of young men are going through these mental health crises, right? Now, just before we get into like the practical steps of what you should actually do and what I've personally done that have helped me, like, you just need to get it into a bit of perspective, right? Like me, I've had hard mental health, right? But I've gone through a lot of shit. Like I've had to put a lot of effort into something, and the simple fact of the matter is that no one likes to fucking talk about, right? It's not meant to be all happy and smiley, right? It's not meant to be easy. You're meant to sacrifice. You're meant to not feel over the moon and happy and joyous all the time. You have to, if you're trying to do something and change the direction of your life or do something significant, it comes with pain. It comes with struggle. It comes with bad mental health sometimes. This expectation of always wanting to be happy and everything be easy, it's a feminine modern day thing. Because if you look back to your blood, look, this is my bloodline. I can't talk about anything else. But even if this, if you're British, you're going to be looking at this and thinking, I know exactly what you mean. If you're not, if your family's from a different country, believe me, your great granddad, he didn't have a good time wherever he was. Yeah. Unless you're in the top percent. If you were working class, wherever he was in this world, he was not having a good time, right? Back in the 1950s. Believe me, was not having a good time. So us right now is the best it ever is. Yet you'll have people moping around like it's the worst it's ever been. It's not. Like, believe me, guys, it's easier than it's ever been, just to put it into perspective. Like, you want to talk about bad mental health, yeah? Ask these boys, right? These guys are not taking no mental health day. They're going to work. They're grateful for the work. Look, these guys are going out and protesting just to get paid for the work that they're doing. These are so grateful for the work. 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, with enough money to get a loaf of bread and go to Skegness twice a year. Yeah? How about these boys here, working since kids in factories and mills? This is what they did around where I live. So you have got to put it into perspective. Now, for me, I've dealt with bad mental health. Now, there's things you can do to make it better. But what I'm saying is, don't just expect everything to be cushy all the time. It's not meant to be. You've got it easier than it's ever been. And me having this realization, I know where I come from. I know what my ancestors have dealt with. So I'm not going to start complaining and expecting life to be super easy when we've got the amount of opportunity that we've got. And people really need to wake up to this. People do not look into this, right? Some of the shit that people complain about nowadays is fucking unbelievable. Just look into your own family. If your grandparents are still around, go ask them what their parents did. Go ask them what their grandparents did. Yeah, because they weren't complaining like we complain today. Not you and me. Like me and you, we're into self development, improving ourselves, right? But the majority of people, the walkies, right? They just like to complain. But believe me, it's not that hard, or it's not as hard as it has been. So that's just a bit of a perspective for more people. Now, before we get onto this, do not be expecting your mental health to be good. If you're not sleeping at night, you're eating like a retard, and you're not drinking water. The basic stuff. The basic stuff. It's like people don't even go gym. I'm like, what? That's the basic. Exercise. You have to exercise. You have to sleep. Like, just make these decisions. These are just normal functioning human decisions. Like, listen, I will run half a marathon any day in any state, right? I will do any sport, go toe to toe with anybody, right? I've spent tens of thousands of hours learning about e-commerce. Okay, if I've not had enough sleep and I've not drunk enough water, I'm a retard. I'm the top 1% committed and determined, and disciplined. Yeah, if I do not do these basic things, like this whole, I get it. That's not cool to say though. The hustle bro culture is like, oh, no, zero sleep, zero sleep. Well, you can't. What we're trying to do in modern day, we're not doing this, right? We're learning and we're using our minds. You have to protect your mind. If you're not sleeping, you can't use your mind properly. Okay, you can't think properly. If you're doing something physical today, you can get away with no sleep. But if you're doing something where you've got to concentrate and not be distracted, you need your mind, so you need to sleep. So just do the basics. That's first things first. There's no point watching all this and trying to look for a hack or a book. If you're not sleeping enough, you're not eating clean food, and you're not drinking water. That's the basics of it, right? So don't eat bullshit food, sleep, and drink water. It's surprising how many people don't do this. So look, I made meals from zero, and coming from experience, right? I don't know anyone else around me who did this. I'm not saying I'm the only person in the world to do it at all, right? But I'm not one of these Miami kids. I'm not one of these London kids. Didn't go to a private school. All this sort of stuff. I did this on my own. Yeah, like real grafting. And look, this is going to take a lot of isolation. It's going to take a lot of sacrifice. And if you're building a real business, you're going to actually have to work and learn some real knowledge. And this is what's known as locking in or monk. People call it monk mode now, right? I did this, and I did something incorrect, right? I completely ignored my well-being in order to make my goals work. And you do need a little bit of that, right? But the extremes that I took it actually ended up having a larger detriment on my life. And the truth about making money online that nobody likes to admit is the fact that you do have to go through this, right? And there is a lot of side effects from going through a period like this. And one of the side effects is for every action that you take, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So this means that the more food that you eat, you're going to put on more weight. That's the reaction. Okay, the action is eating the food. The reaction is putting on weight. Okay, so if you stop wasting money, your savings will increase. That's the action. That's the reaction. Now, when you spend more time in isolation working on your business, right, and you're going and getting a warehouse that's the cheapest rent because you're a young kid and you can't really afford anything else, and you're a bit of a retard, so you pick somewhere without any windows, without any central heating, okay, and going down in this dungeon, and you're paranoid because the amount of stock that you've got down there. This is what I did, yeah. You're spending a lot of time in isolation, away from the world, right? All these little problems in your mind start getting louder, okay? Start getting a lot louder. And your mind can start turning against you. That's the downside of this online money, right? Now, if you're doing a monk mode, but you live in Dubs, you live in Dubai or London where you can just go around and there's stuff to do, great. Great, you can do it. If you're from some little working class town in the middle of fuck knows nowhere, nobody else around you does what you're trying to do, what you're trying to do, you're not gonna have fun. It's not a fun time. So unless you do the things that I'm about to say, you will face these problems. You will face these problems. It took me a long time to learn this. So you've got to make a decision as a young entrepreneur. This is the decision that I made. Like, you've just got to decide, like, is this goal worth it for me? Like, am I willing to go through this? If you achieving the goal is worth going through all the pain, then fucking do it and go all in. But if it's not, then don't even stress about it, right? But you've got to make that decision. And this is not just for entrepreneurs. I only talk about entrepreneurs as much because I know the problems of entrepreneurs. Obviously, I've been with one all my life. But the problem with, whether you are or not, the problem with social media and the modern day crisis, it still overlaps. Like, you get the same sort of problems from social media, whether you have a business or not. And when my life actually fell apart in front of my eyes, right, I got to a point where I actually ashamed of myself because I was like this former guy, this disciplined guy that I built up, and it took me to this level of just not being in control, and I stopped making progress, and that was hard for me. So I looked at my life and realized the reason why I wasn't making any progress is because I wasn't doing the things that got me there in the first place, right? I stopped doing the habits that made me a winner anyway. So these are the three things that you can do to fix your mental health within 2 weeks. These will have a massive, huge effect. I've written them down. It's just 3 points. These will have a big effect on your life. And look, if you're watching this right now and you're dealing with some mental health issues, yeah, and you don't go do these things, at least try them, then you deserve to have the problems. If you're not willing to try, you deserve to have the problems. Yeah, they might not work, or what, you're trying for 2 weeks. If your mind's in the gutter, then you need to do it. And if you're not willing, then you deserve to have them. Right? So these are the three things. So first thing, meditation. This is not some woo-woo spiritual bullshit, right? This is to clear your mind. Like, honestly, it's hard for me to describe, like, to the level that I got to. And it's hard for me to describe the level I got to, but I wasn't in control anymore. I used to wake up first thing in the morning, put these Beats Studio headphones on, noise cancelling ones, and I used to listen to Vibes Cartel full blast first thing in the morning. I were addicted to music. That doesn't sound like a problem, but what that is you do that when you're scared of your thoughts. Now, if you start your day like that, you will fuck your entire mind up. You've got no time to think. And especially when your mind is dealing with so many problems at once and it's so complex and you've got to figure it out and you're taking risk and you're panicking and maybe you've got personal issues going on and you still need to, you've got all these things. I mean, we all go through these things in life sometimes, right? You use your meditation to slow things down. It's going to make you a better decision maker. It's going to make you less stressed. And it's just going to set the tone for the day a lot more. And believe me, the more fucked up your mind is, the more you need to meditate. Now, you're going to struggle with it at first, but just do 5 minutes. What I do is I go on either YouTube for guided meditation or I go on Spotify for guided meditation, free guided meditation, or there's an app called Brain FM that you can also do it on. But, the Brain FM ones, it's a man's voice. It's a bit like, you got a man's voice talking to you nice and calm and slow. I don't really like that. You know what I mean? So I choose YouTube because it's a woman's voice. It's a bit less like a man breathing down your neck. Do you get what I'm saying? But yeah, look, try it. Start with 5 minutes. Try to get it up to 10, 15. 10, 15 is good every day. That will make a massive difference. Now, the second thing is, look, I at one point I looked at my life and I was like, it was weird because I'd worked my entire life at 6, 7 years at this point, sacrificed everything, invested all my money, made a lot of money, got into shape, built a social circle, good family life. And one by one, I lost everything. I was looking at my life and I was like, how How, when I've tried so hard, like harder than a lot of people, made more sacrifices than a lot of people, invested more into a lot of people, how on earth have I ended up in a position where I've got less than everybody? How have I ended up in this situation? And when I got to that point, I stopped looking at positives and I started looking at negatives, right? And when you're looking for positives or negatives, you're going to find both of them in whatever situation that you're in. And I came across this thing about gratitude, right? And at the same time, I was trying to build these good habits back in my life. So just like, I physically couldn't get up at a certain time every single day. And for me, forever, 6 a.m., I'm out of bed, straight to work. Never don't go on my phone in the morning, don't lay about, don't sleep in. I used to get out of bed, straight to work. No problem. No problem at all. But I stopped doing that. So I started looking at every single day and I started reviewing the day before. I started reviewing what I was doing, finding the triggers that were setting my day up to be bad. It's like, what am I doing on a night to me not go to sleep? Right, review my day, check that. Review my daily review. This is what I did yesterday. This is what worked. Because rather than looking for the negatives, I was now looking for the positives because I was reviewing my day and looking like, oh, I did achieve that stuff yesterday. Because the problem is when you've got bad mental health, your mind will ignore the positives and only take on board the negatives. And believe me, you can be at the point where you've had an amazing, perfect day, right? You stub your toe on the coffee table. If your mind's that bad, you can fucking stand stubbing your toe on that table. Yeah, that's the thing that you focus on, and it just destroys the rest of it. So I started focusing on the positives again, and I started being grateful. Now, when I looked at my life and I first started writing, I'm grateful for this. I'll be honest with you, I had nothing to be grateful for. I did, but I felt like I didn't. And as much as I had accommodation and a roof over my head, and I still got family and stuff like that, like at the time, I couldn't associate any of that with. I felt like I was in prison, living at this house. Okay, so I couldn't associate that with anything positive. So I had to see something physically in front of me. And what I had is I had this Ritz Carlton pen, yeah. It was like a twist off pen. It was quite heavy thickness in the ink. It was a good pen, probably one of the best pens I've ever had. I'll be honest with you, it really was. And I was writing down every day on this. So I used to write, I'm grateful for this pen. And some of you were watching this and laughing, right? But you can always find something to be grateful for, right? And this is where you're going to really start reprogramming your mind, start working for you rather than against you. So I reviewed my day every single day and I wrote down what I was grateful for. So now all the time I'm focusing on what I'm grateful for. Because the thing is, when you're ungrateful for stuff, even though when you've got stuff, what you'll find is things are going to start moving away from you. When you're grateful for what you've already got and your energy is positive, stuff's going to be coming towards you. So grateful for everything. Grateful for everything. Positive attitude. This is what's going to help your attitude. Now, the third and final thing is the daily planner. Now, this is called a legend planner. I really need to get a kickback off these. I force people to buy these. And like I posted this on my Instagram story once, right? And all my richest friends who all have businesses all went and bought one straight away. Okay, that's probably about 7 people, which is quite a lot, really. You know, all entrepreneurs. The normies didn't do it. So the most successful people that I know all went and bought one. So what do you think about that? The most successful people that I knew all went and bought one. Planning your day out. This is what's going to put you back in control. This is like working with 6 people. This is like working with hyper productiveness. This takes the accountability and puts it back on you. You can look at what you did. You can cross off what you did. You can start building momentum in your life again. I lost all the momentum in my life and I built a lot of it. I built a fucking lot of it from nothing. Honestly, I started on market stores. I used to sell the 50p coins, the special edition ones on eBay. That's what I started with. Get £2.50 for them. It's all right. That's what I used to do, yeah. I had to start writing things down again, writing habits down again, writing my goals down again, and I started building momentum. And when you do that, watch your life change quickly. I used to plan your day the night before. then you don't have to worry about your brain working right in the morning. You can just get up and work the fucking list. You work that motherfucking list like it's your job. Well, it is your job. But this is where hyperproductiveness comes from. I made my first million in sales with this. This is better than any laptop. This is better than any door microphone that costs £300. This is better than any iPhone. This is better than any book and self-development video. This is better than any tool that you can use if you utilize this properly and it costs the least. This is the highest leverage task that you can possibly do, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur. And I had to teach myself how to work. Yeah, daily planner, essential. Now, the final thing that I want to touch on is problem reframing. Now, mental health can be a wicked master if you let it. And it can convince you that completely irrational things that you believe are 100% believable and real. The biggest jump in progress is if you can switch your mind from a problem-based thinker to a solution-based thinker. Just try and think about the most problematic person in your life right now, the one that's facing the most problems, or the one that's maybe got the most negative attitude, or maybe the one that is family or a family friend that you just try and stay away from. Everybody knows one of these people. The problem with those people is they think about problems, they don't think about solutions. Okay, now me being a problem-based thinker was very, very, very new to me. When I started thinking about problems a lot, it got a little bit on top of me for a bit, it did. But me being a solution-based thinker, that is what made me go from being this struggling kid in a van picking up scrap metal, right, not knowing anything. But because I was thinking of solutions and looking for opportunities, I found them. And look, when I started, a solution for me was scrap metal on the side of the road, right? Now, some of you is going to be watching this and laughing at this. That's what the gypsies do, that. Okay, I was stealing the gypsies' job. Yeah? But I didn't have any money. I was broke as fuck. I didn't have any money. And it's not that good of a solution, but I was looking for it and I turned that into a positive. So that's literally pretty much trash on the side of the road, but I looked at it and I made money from it. And then I took that money and I bought stock. And then I took that stock and I flipped it and I flipped it. And then a couple of years later, I was getting paid more than a doctor. Yeah. I had £500,000 retail price worth of stock in my own warehouse that I owned outright. Right? I didn't work for anybody. I could buy whatever I wanted. I could do whatever I wanted. Because I started looking for solutions, even at nothing, but you need it the most when you're at nothing. So when you could switch your mind from problem-based to solution-based, you'll find either. Yeah, you look for red cars, you're going to see red cars. You look for solutions, you're going to see solutions. Whatever stage that you're at. Look for positives, look for solutions. This is what you need to reframe your mind towards. Start looking at problems differently. I don't give a fuck if someone kills your fucking dog and punches your grandma in the face today. Okay? You need to try and look for go and find the guy first, yeah? But you need to try and look for the benefit in the situation. No matter how hard it is, you need to look for the benefit, look for the solution, look for the thing that it's trying to teach you. Focus on the positives. Because your thoughts determine your actions, and your actions determine your reality. So if you want to change what's in front of you, fix your motherfucking thoughts. Subscribe.